questions about the minimum wage?
Sure.
So have you ever had a chance to work a minimum wage job or?
Yeah, quite very close to minimum wage job, quite a few times.
Sure. Now you're pushing for $15 an hour today. That's obviously quite a jump from $7.25 in the state. How do you think businesses are going to take that? Like, what do you think employers are going to do to raise that minimum wage if it becomes
Well, I
law?
think the big corporations like McDonald's, Burger King, and many of the retailers, a lot of the businesses that depend on the low-wage model right now, actually raking in huge profits and could quite readily absorb, $15 an hour. And I don't think it's much to ask for. In many areas around the country, if you look at what it takes to just afford a basic existence, $15 an hour, in some cases even a compromise. So I think $15 an hour should be a rallying cry for all low-wage workers to achieve at least that bare minimum just to be able to live.
Sure. Do you think that perhaps places like McDonald's, Taco Bell, for example, would have to raise their prices perhaps to cover the minimum wage cost?
I don't think so. There were studies done that showed that if we accept the idea that it's only out of price increases that they would have to absorb the losses, it would be an increase in cost of less than $1, 50 cents in some cases, to absorb a $15 wage. But that's only if you accept that it can't come out of their profits. Why can't they take less profits? Maybe buy one less yacht this year. For
Sure.
CEOs.
Do you think the average McDonald's owner is making a lot? Because they're all franchises, so sometimes the owners live in the communities. Do you think they live in the rich part of town?
That's
possibly?
true, but you could ask the big parent companies to reduce their franchise fees and things like that. Bring pressure to bear on them to set the standards by reducing the amount that they charge the local franchise owners. And they're not all like owners of one or two franchises either. Some of them own huge chains in cities and regions. So I think that's a canard to try to make the
At what level do you think someone becomes kind of part of the upper class, that wealthy area that would be the kind of McDonald's owners? Is it like $75,000 a year they make, you think? Maybe $100,000? Like, what in your mind and in the minds of protesters? Obviously you guys are advocating for low-wage people to get an increase.
Right,
what do you think makes someone rich? What kind of annual income?
Well, that's kind of maybe a bit too rough, but I would say if you're making more than $1 million a year, then you're pretty rich. But even if you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, you're not part of necessarily the super exploiting rich, but you're living quite a world away from the average low-wage worker. So many millions and millions of workers that are making less than $10 an hour even.
Sure. Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Stay warm.